I know it's been a really long time since you guys have had a Cadillac video, but last time I drove it, it sounded so bad with that exhaust leak. I really haven't driven it since, just because it just sounds so awful when you drive it. But today, I'm going to try to fix that. So if you're new to the channel, which in the last month there's been a lot of new people, this is my 56 Cadillac. I have about 60 videos on this, so if you go to the playlist tab, you can find them all. This is going to be video 60 something, I don't even know. I've lost count. But in the previous videos, we've had exhaust leaks at this manifold on the passenger side, and it was pretty easy to kind of figure out what was going on. You could see underneath the generator, you could see where one of the gaskets for the manifolds had blown out. A lot of these bolts had gotten loose, and because of that, we had exhaust leaks, and it was a really loud tick noise. You could hear it. Now, here on this driver's side manifold, between the oil filter, power steering pump, the brake booster, and the wiper bottle, you really can't get to any of the bolts from the top or the bottom. Now, here's the thing. I don't see any exhaust leak from the actual manifold where it bolts to the cylinder head. What I do see is exhaust leaks possibly from down below where the manifold meets the exhaust pipe. There's also the steering box in the way. So this side of the engine bay is super duper duper packed, which of course makes it harder to do. So what I plan on doing today is I plan on probably removing this mechanical fan, starting the engine up, and then from there just feeling around with my hand where an exhaust leak would be. Usually these things are pretty easy to find, but this one's just kind of kicking my butt. But first we'll, kind of give a visual inspection and see where we're at. Alright, before it gets too hot, feel anything. There it is. It's up where I can't see it. It's up there. It's up there where I can't see it. It's behind. This one doesn't sound too good either. Replace these ones well. I have my assortment of tools to get these off, since there's no room to get to any of them. I can't just use a regular ratchet like I could on the other side. So long socket, short wrench, double box end wrench, regular wrench, bent wrench. Hopefully between all this stuff I'll be able to get to them. But new gaskets helped on the other side. They should help on this side. The star of this show is this little baby short 9/16 wrench. I got almost all the bolts off using that, just because it was so cramped in there. But anyway, back to the gasket. So here's the front one, which looks decent. You can see how the exhaust was contained inside. Here is the middle one, which we found the leak on. You can see how it pretty much got burnt through. Exhaust was coming out this back side, making noise, and then this one over here I believe is doing the same thing. It looks pretty crappy. So the reason why these burnt up is the same reason the other side burnt up. Whenever I put this motor together, I did not put lock washers on the bolts that hold the manifolds to the heads. Why? Because Cadillac never put them on them. That's not how they came. I'll show you a bolt. Here's one of the bolts, and you can see it just has a flat spot. It might have used to have been a lock washer, I don't think so. But just a flat spot on the bolt and no lock washers. So adding lock washers, I believe if you have to use gaskets, is something you need to do. Almost all these bolts, I mean, they weren't really tight at all. There's a couple that were hand tight, and that's why these failed. The same with the ones on the other side, that's why those failed too. I'm going to put these in with some lock washers on the bolts. I'm also going to tighten those ones on the other side that I did last time, due to they might have loosened up. Hopefully the lock washers will work like they're supposed to. I'll double check them. It's easy to do that side compared to this side. But yeah, we'll put it in, we'll fire it up, and we'll see how it sounds. We had 2 leaking, so it sounded pretty awful. Those are pretty bad. So here's an example of a new one. So that should work pretty well. Yep, should work good. Sometimes I get creepy visitors. Chopstick, Nuda! Hey, Chopstick! They'll look at me from over by the gate, and then sometimes they'll creep on me through the window. Chopstick, get on the fence!
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Flubber! It was a pain. I got all the gaskets replaced. So these 2 bolts in the front were 5/8. The rest were 9/16. I don't know why. Maybe that's how a Cadillac did it. But you can see the new gaskets in there. Gotta put my spark plug wire back here. So we'll fire it up, and we'll see if it sounds any different than before. I think it's going to. Probably should put the battery back on. Oh yeah, that's much quieter. You can pretty much hear only the power steering pump running and the air cleaner sucking air. Let's go underneath here and see. Oh yeah, that's much better. See how quiet that is? That's much better. Much better. Alright, so this car would mostly under load was when you'd hear the exhaust. Still hear it a little bit, but it's way better than it was. And I don't know. I think maybe the other side needs some. There's maybe one gasket I didn't change. Not exactly sure, but it won't be today that I end up changing it, just because this is going to be hot for a while. I mean, it's better. Maybe it's not 100%. I think there's a rear one that I didn't replace last time. We'll just have to see. But it's definitely better. I feel like now I can hear it from the other side. I'm not really sure. I think I need to go through and do the other side again. I swear I did all 3, but maybe I just replaced the one that needed replaced. I don't know. We're gonna have to check that out. Luckily the other side is way easier to do. Last time I did this, I believe, pretty sure, I have to go back in my videos, I only replaced 1. So this is the one that I replaced, and you know what? It looks pretty good. Might have been leaking a little bit there, but these other 2, they're pretty much toast. This one didn't have any bolts or any lock washers on the bolts at all, so they were pretty loose. Same with this. So I have new ones I'm going to put in. I have learned that small block Chevys are like this, but Cadillac, I believe, is like this as well. There was no gaskets at all on the manifolds to the head surface, and I put them on there because they were on there when I pulled the engine all apart, and so we're going to keep them on there. My surfaces don't look too good. I believe that's why we put on gaskets. I don't remember. It's been such a long time. We're going to put gaskets back on, and if they leak again, then I'm going to pull them all off and then run it without gaskets and see how that goes. But I have the gaskets. I bought the gaskets. Might as well use them. Gaskets are in. Bolts are tight. Should just start up. To turn to the key. Oh, I gotta put the battery on. Again. How many times am I going to forget that? That's much better. Time to drive it. Alright, we're back in the Caddy. I've cleaned my dash. What do you guys think? That's much quieter. I am happy with that. All 6 had to be done, but they are done. You know, it makes the car not sound like such a beater car, actually. Maybe I'll drive it more now that it sounds somewhat decent. Alright guys, well that's the end of this video. Little things make a big difference on the Caddy, but I guess maybe I still hear a little one. It's better than it was. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this one.